Okay, you guys, the DEPCO module, the original activity asks you to set up a tray for someone. So you would be a short order cook or a quick cook. So basically you'd be working at a fast food restaurant or a quick dine type restaurant. But the original activity asked you to grill a burger and set up the tray for the customer and give them some carrots and celery to go with. So I'm going to do a little demonstration basically of all of that except for the carrots and celery, show you what that will look like. And then next week we are going to use the griddles in class. Instead of making hamburgers, we're going to make a fun little, it's called an egg in a hole. It's kind of a breakfast, but it's a piece of toast with an egg in the middle to practice with the griddles. So for the module and for today, this video should tell you everything you need to know to answer your questions, okay? So I have washed my hands, but I will probably have to wash them again because, just a second, I'm going to be grilling a burger, and of course you know, anytime you touch raw meat, which I'll have to put it on the grill, you should wash your hands right away before touching anything else. The best way to wash your hands, of course, is for 20 seconds with hot soapy water. It's a good idea, especially when you're a food handler, you're working in a restaurant, to rub your hands, your fingernails into the palm of your hand with the soapy water, and that way you make sure to get any bacteria or dirt that might be under your fingernails as well. So that's a good way to do that, okay? Okay, so today I have out my griddle, and it is preheating, but I will just show you here real quick. I don't know, let me move my computer actually. Where is it at? Oh boy, sorry you guys. So there's the temperature gauge, and a good spot for grilling hamburgers is at about 350. So you can see the red light is lined up to 350. That's about medium or medium high. That light will turn off when when the griddle gets to 350 when it's preheated. So once it turns off, I know that I'll be ready to do my burger, okay? So I just have one burger patty. It is still frozen. You can cook burger patties frozen or thawed. Of course, if they're frozen, it'll just take a few more minutes during the cooking process. Okay, so I got my burger patty. I have some seasoning salt, just like a Lowry seasoning salt that I will sprinkle on. I'm setting all of these things kind of right in my workstation so that this can be as efficient of a process as possible. So I have my burger patty here. I have my seasoning salt right by my griddle. And then the other thing I want is to take a paper towel and fold it into fourths, so just into like a little square. And I'm going to use that to set my flipper, turner, spatula, whatever you want to call it, to set it on the counter when I'm not using it so that I'm not getting grease all over the counter, okay? So then I guess the other thing I need right now is a spatula, turner, flipper thing. It needs to be plastic because this is a non-stick griddle, so plastic is the best choice for this class, okay? I'm going to be looking at the DEPCO notes just to make sure I cover everything for you. So we have our griddle on and preheated. You know, if you were actually working in a restaurant, the grill would already be hot. They just keep their huge grills that they have. This is just a home-style grill. But in a restaurant, it's like a big silver grill. They could cook. It's probably as big as our gas range in our classroom. They could cook like 20 burgers at a time on it. And it's probably always hot. So they turn it on when they get there in the morning and they turn it off when they leave at night just to make the process of cooking for people much quicker. So in the case of today, we had to preheat our griddle, but you usually don't have to do that. And that's just so that the ready-to-cook orders can cook quickly, like I said, okay? So, like I said, to be as efficient as possible, you want to make sure that you kind of have everything right here in your area set up and ready to go for when we put the burger on, okay? Okay, so today we are using a pre-made patty. It kind of depends on where you go out to eat. Some people make their own patties, but most restaurants, especially like quick restaurants, use just these frozen pre-made patties. They probably season them themselves, but it just makes it much more efficient and they can get orders out to tables so much quicker. So we're using a pre-made patty today. Like I said, it is frozen. It's going to go right onto the grill. and it is at 350. You put it right in the middle of the griddle because that's, if you can, if you're just cooking one, because that's the hottest part, so that'll cook it the quickest. Obviously, if I could probably fit like 6 to 8 burgers on here, if we were cooking for a whole class, we would do that. So your plate had raw meat on it, so we have to wash it right away, so it either goes into the sink or into the dishwasher. And I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Okay, that wasn't quite 20 seconds. I don't want to bore you. So, but I got the beef off of my hands. So, okay. Let's see. All right. So we will know it's time to flip our hamburger patty when it is brown underneath and there's some blood kind of pooling on the top. So I'll show you what that looks like here in a couple minutes, okay? Okay, so our customer ordered a hamburger and with the fixings on it, and typically you can just do mustard and ketchup, but usually at a restaurant they serve pickles, tomatoes, onion, lettuce. When you get a burger, that's just kind of the basic condiments that come with, and then of course mustard and ketchup, usually maybe sometimes mayonnaise. And they also ordered carrots and celery on the side. So to be efficient, the best way, efficient means you get the most amount of work done in the shortest period of time as possible. While my burger is cooking on the griddle, it's probably been at least 5 to 8 minutes so far just on the one side. I still haven't flipped it yet. So while you wait for it to cook on the first side, you would want to clean and peel and cut your carrots and celery and get those ready to go on the plate while you wait for the burger, okay? Notice I have an apron on, and that's because the griddle, it's really hot, and so the grease splashes a bit. So you want to protect your clothes when you're cooking something greasy, because grease is hard to get out of your clothing. And then, of course, also we don't want bacteria from your clothes getting onto the food as well. So this is like a barrier in between. So you always want an apron on for cooking at the griddle, okay? I will just show you what the burger looks like. I'm going to lift up the side of it. I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's not really blood pooling on the top, but there's a lot of like juices, like liquid on top, which is pretty much the blood. So that part shows me that it's ready to flip. And then also, let me see if I can show you the back side of it. You can see the back is looking rather brown. So this burger patty is ready to be flipped, okay? So the reason, obviously, we have the paper towels because I keep using this and it's all greasy now, so it's a good thing to have it sitting on a paper towel so it doesn't get all gross here. So you just scoot your turner flipper all the way underneath the patty, and you just simply turn your wrist over like 180-degree flip like that, okay? And you can see that the back side is nice and brown, okay? I'm gonna let this other side cook for probably 3 more minutes, and then I am going to cut into it with the spatula and make sure there's not any pink in the middle. That's how you'll know it's done, when there's no more pink juices running out of it. I have washed my plate that I used with the raw patty. I washed it with hot soapy water, so it's now ready for me to take the burger off of the grill. You always want a clean plate right next to your grill for when you're done cooking, so when you take the foods off quickly, it's right there ready, okay? Now that I have flipped it over, it's time for seasoning salt. So I'm just gonna sprinkle some of that on and cover it with a nice coating of the seasoning salt. If you were doing this at home and you weren't used to seasoning things, I would say, for one burger patty, maybe just like an 1/8 teaspoon of the seasoning salt, okay? Okay, so now the other side is grilling. I don't know if you can hear it kind of crackling and popping. It's starting to warm up the other side. It should be pretty quick here. Now, if it starts to get too hot and the grease is really splattering, you can always turn down with the little knob here to a lower setting, like down to 300, so you don't get splashed with grease. And then if your griddle starts to get really yucky and greasy while you're cooking a burger, you can always turn the spatula over like this, face down, and you can scrape the grease into the grease catch so that it's kind of out of the way, and any of the like pieces of burger that fall off can go down into there as well. That's why you want to make sure to have that all put together correctly. Okay? All right. Okay, so the top side is definitely brown, and you can see the back side is starting to brown as well. So you just take your spatula and just nice vertical straight up and down, and you just kind of push down into the burger patty and cut it in half. Actually, it'd be very wise of me to use a fork, because it is hot, to kind of pull it apart a bit. And you can see in the middle that it is nice and brown, no more pink, no pink juices flowing out of it. So this hamburger patty is definitely ready to go. So you just scoop it up, and it goes onto your clean plate here. And then you would take it and assemble it with a bun, and the mustard and ketchup and condiments for your customer. Okay, now that I am done grilling, I need to turn off my griddle. So I just twist the knob, of course, to 0 so that the light turns off. And then you should always unplug it right when you are done with it. So you unplug it, okay? And then we will take it apart, and I'll show you how to wash it. I always let it cool down before I pull it apart, because this piece has metal on it and it tends to warm up a lot on the inside. So again, it'll take about 10 minutes. We'll let it cool, and then you'll of course wash it when you're all done.